Joining us now, former Director of National Intelligence under the Obama administration and former Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Pacific Command, Dennis Blair. Dennis, it's really great to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here, Katie.
So the Wall Street Journal...
It's not nice to be here. It's a bad incident we're talking about.
Yeah, well, we can say it's nice to have a conversation. Unfortunately,
yes, okay,
the topic is not at all light. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that there are other cases that Mike Waltz has been accused of using a Signal group chat to discuss national security matters. NBC News hasn't matched that reporting. But when you look at this and you look at the fact that this was done with a journalist included, and then perhaps there being other scenarios where national security was discussed over a commercial app, I mean, what comes to the top of your mind? What's your first reaction?
Well, it is true that, as people contend, that dancing along the edges of classified information by high-level officials is not new with this administration, but it's really better to stick with the established systems, as slow-moving sometimes and as bureaucratic as they seem to be, because they are set up to avoid grave damage to American national interests. And when you try to bypass them, which elected officials without a lot of experience often tend to do, you get into trouble. And this is sort of one more instance of that.
What signal is it sending to people who might be dealing with national security but might not be at the very top? If the guys at the top are using Signal, what does it say to people who might be handling national security at lower levels?
Right. It's very important. The tradition in the armed forces is that the commanding officer always eats last, always make sure that the people are taken care of before he or she takes care of business, and that tone at the top, that leadership, is very important. And when you clearly violate things that you're telling other people to do, you weaken not only that particular policy or set of rules, but your overall authority. So it's not good from that point of view for people who are in the chain of command, like the Secretary of Defense, to taking that kind of action.
I think one of the concerns that's out there right now, it's free floating, is how seriously should we be worried about threats to the homeland, threats to Americans, when you have people at the top who are as cavalier as they've been with national security by using a commercial app because maybe they're inexperienced or they just believe they're infallible, either way. Americans look at that, at least I've had conversations with folks who say, if they're doing that, what else might they be missing? And are we safer today than we were 2 months ago?
I'm not sure that is the dominant factor. You news people are pretty good at ferreting out what this administration and other administrations are doing. To me, the important thing is how does the administration go on from a rookie mistake? We've seen those in all sorts of administrations, from the Clinton administration through the Biden administration. Every administration, as it tries to settle into the job, tries to learn how to make things work, makes mistakes, and I don't think you can judge them on that first mistake. You have to judge on how they react to it and make things better. And most of the administrations that I've seen take it to heart and don't try to sugarcoat it and improve themselves. I think what's somewhat distressing about this is that, with the exception of National Security Advisor Waltz, who said, "Yep, this is on me," you don't see that taking it on board and then trying to move on. That kind of example set at the top is the right thing for the troops. Trying to say it wasn't such a big deal. That's what sets the bad example. That's what not only encourages our enemies, but discourages those who are trying to do the best job they can further down the line.
But even Mike Waltz was a bit he obfuscated a bit when trying to explain that he was taking on all this responsibility for it. But then he started to say that he had no idea how the journalists got into his phone and their top tech people were looking into it. I mean, that was a bit of a Swiss cheese answer. But let me ask you about hacking, because we heard Pam Bondi.
I have to say,
go ahead.
when you come into one of these big jobs, on your desk are two phones. One is a black phone, which looks like the one that we all grew up with, and the other is a red phone, generally red, sometimes white. And you just know, red phone, that's for the serious classified stuff when I have to talk to others. Black phone, that's when I order pizza. And it's just basic. And to try to say, well, I'm in a rush, I need constant communications, is not an excuse for putting secret information that our enemies can profit from on a communication system that they could very well have penetrated.
The red phone is for communications you don't want hacked or listened to. The black phone is for communications that don't matter as much. So how does that not translate to the cell phones? Are the cell phones not hackable? Is Signal not hackable?
It is hackable. All commercial systems are hackable. To have a secure government phone that plugs directly into a government network is a special deal. They are not widely spread. Right now, for most people, you get the call on the secure phone. It says go to a high side phone, and so one time when I was commander in chief of Pacific Command, I actually was having trouble with our secure phones on an airplane flying over the United States. So I had them land in North Dakota so I could get into a place where I could get a red phone. And you fool yourself as a high-level leader into thinking that, I need to be in touch all the time. I need to be available. That's nonsense. You have the actual work is done well down in military operations, well down the chain of command by people who are on the scene. And this idea that you have to be up to the minute is just incorrect and self-aggrandizing. You can wait, and you should wait, and that's the example you need to set. And it also is what protects real information. I mean, the idea of having, there's a question: was that information really classified or not? I can tell you that that information came to the Secretary of Defense in a highly classified form, either on a screen or on a piece of paper that he looked at, and it had top secret written all over it. And then he decided on the black phone, the pizza phone, to share that with others, including Jeff Goldberg. And that, yes, sometimes higher level leaders do declassify information for specific purposes, but we have a process to go through that. So you think about it. So it's not just this, I'm in this job, therefore anything I talk about is authorized. And it's that failure to understand the importance of the processes that I think is disturbing to me about the incident.